Here's a chilling true fact from Mississippi that might make you think twice about everyday encounters. Prepare to question reality with a true scary fact from Mississippi. The McRaven House in Vicksburg holds the grim title of Mississippi's most haunted house. With a history stretching back to the 1790s and serving as a Confederate hospital during the Civil War, it's a hotbed of paranormal activity. Visitors consistently report encountering distinct ghostly entities, including apparitions of former residents, experiencing drastic temperature drops, hearing disembodied voices, and witnessing objects move on their own. Some even describe phantom figures appearing and vanishing right before their eyes, making it a place where the line between living and dead is eerily thin.
This story was sent by someone named Dan. He said he hasn't taken that back road since, and he'll never pass a green pickup without checking the mirrors. I was heading home from my brother's place in rural Mississippi. He lives way out near the state line, lots of fields, gravel roads, no streetlights for miles. I left later than I meant to, and by the time I hit Route 19, it was almost midnight. I'd driven that stretch a dozen times. Two-lane blacktop, trees close on either side, not much to see except the occasional mailbox or farm gate. That night was quiet, just the hum of my tires and the occasional chirp from the woods. I'd gone maybe 5 miles when I saw headlights coming up over the hill ahead. As we passed each other, I noticed the vehicle, an old green pickup. Looked late 70s or early 80s, rusty fenders. One headlight slightly dimmer than the other. The driver didn't wave, didn't even glance my way. Just passed me going the opposite direction, didn't think much of it. Then, maybe a minute later, I saw lights behind me. High beams, far off in the distance. I figured it was another car coming up from behind. Not unusual, except something didn't feel right. I watched the rear view as the lights got closer, and that's when I realized it was the same truck, same paint, same busted headlight, same squeaky rattle as it got near. No way it could have turned around that fast. There were no turnoffs, no driveways, just straight road for a solid mile. I slowed down slightly, trying to see the driver, but the truck stayed back, just far enough that I couldn't make out the face. It stayed there for 10 minutes. Then it got closer, too close. I moved to the edge of the road a little, figuring they'd pass. They didn't. They stayed locked on my bumper, close enough that I couldn't see their grill in the mirror. I tapped the brakes, just a quick flash. No reaction. At this point, my heart was racing. I pulled into a wide gravel shoulder and slowed almost to a stop. The second I did, the truck veered around and sped past. No honk, no lights, just dust. It disappeared over the next hill. I sat there, breathing hard, wondering if I was just being paranoid. I drove on. About 5 minutes later, I came around a curve and saw something that made my stomach drop. The same green pickup, parked sideways across the road, engine off, blocking both lanes. I slammed the brakes and stopped maybe 30 feet away. No one in the driver's seat, no doors open, no sound, just the truck. Waiting. I threw it into reverse and backed up fast. As I did, the truck's headlights turned on. I didn't stick around to see more. I peeled off onto a narrow dirt road I barely remembered and didn't stop until I was back on the main highway with traffic around me. Later, I called my brother, told him about it. He said, "You saw the green Ford?" I froze. "Yeah." He said, "You're not the first. That truck's been reported all over those back roads. Always shows up where it shouldn't. Always tailing people." I asked if anyone figured out who it was. He just said no one ever sees them twice. This one came from a guy named Ray. He fishes every summer along the Pearl River. But after this, he said he sticks to ponds now, ones with no current and no surprises. It was just after sunrise when I set up my gear. I'd driven out to a quiet bend of the Pearl River, south of Jackson, where the water runs slow and the banks are mostly cypress trees and moss. Nobody else was around. That's why I liked it. Just me, the water, and a cooler of bait. I cast off and settled in. The current was drifting gentle to the left, and everything was calm. I could hear frogs and birds and the occasional splash of a fish out in the deeper channel. Maybe an hour in, I noticed something off. A small boat, looked like an old aluminum skiff, was coming around the bend. Nothing strange about that except it was floating upstream, no motor, no paddles. It wasn't drifting, it was gliding against the current. I sat up a little, thinking maybe I was seeing it wrong. Maybe it had a small trolling motor I couldn't hear. But I watched closely and the water around it wasn't rippling like you'd expect with a motor. It was just moving, smooth and slow, like something was pulling it invisibly from beneath. As it got closer, I noticed no one was in it. No tackle, no cooler. Just a single boot sitting near the bow, beat up and soaked, and a folded piece of paper pinned under it. It drifted toward the shore about 30 feet from me, then stopped, like someone had dropped anchor, but I didn't see one. I stood there, watching it bob in place. Curiosity got the better of me. I walked over, carefully, keeping my feet out of the mud. When I reached the boat, I reached in and grabbed the note. It was wet, but the ink hadn't bled yet. There were just 5 words written on it in blocky black marker. He's coming back tonight. 6:26. That was today's date. I dropped it, stepped back fast. The boat didn't move, didn't float away, just stayed where it was, completely still. I backed away, then turned and walked, then jogged back to my truck. Didn't pack up, just left everything behind. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept looking out the window, expecting to see that same boat somehow sitting in my driveway. I went back 2 days later with a friend. Just to get my gear, the boat was gone, but my fishing pole still stuck in the sand. Snapped in half, and sitting next to it was the same old boot. This story came from a guy named Leo. He said he never pays bills in person anymore. Not after what happened at the municipal building in Brookhaven. It was one of those boring errands you forget until the last minute. I had to pay my water bill and the online system was down. So I drove over to the town hall during my lunch break. The office is small, just a few counters behind glass, some old chairs, and a sign that says closed for lunch, 12 to 1. I got there around 12:25. The hallway was quiet. The lights were still on behind the frosted glass windows, but the main clerk window had the closed sign hanging. I figured I'd just wait, but then I noticed movement behind the glass. Someone inside stood up. Woman, late 40s maybe, wearing a red sweater. She looked right at me, smiled, and waved me over like it was no big deal. I stepped up to the counter and said, "You open early today?" She nodded, turned around, and opened a drawer. She asked for my account number, handed me a clipboard, and said I could fill it out while she got my change. Her voice was soft but clear, friendly, like she'd done this 1,000 times. I handed back the form and my payment. "Ah," she said, "you're all set," and slid a receipt under the glass. Simple, normal. I thanked her and left. As I was walking out, I passed another woman unlocking the front doors. She was wearing an employee badge. She smiled at me and said, "We'll be open in 5 minutes." I paused. "I just paid my bill," I said. She looked confused. "There's no one in the back yet." I said, "No, someone just helped me. Red sweater, brown hair." Her smile dropped. "Sir, the office has been closed since noon. No one's in yet. That door's been locked from the inside." I showed her the receipt. She took it, turned it over, and squinted. "That's an old form. We haven't used this template in years." I walked back to the window. The lights were still on. But the counter? Empty. no chair, no signs anyone had been sitting there, no receipt pad, no red sweater anywhere. I felt sick. I asked if they had cameras. She said they didn't in that part of the office, just the front lobby. Too old a building, she said. That night, I pulled the receipt from my wallet. There was no address printed on it, no phone number, just the amount, the date, and my name, misspelled. I've lived in Mississippi my whole life. Thought I knew every face in that office, but I've never seen that woman again. And next time I have to pay my bill, I'll wait until the website's working.